So this is a new part of our show that we introduced last show. It's basically quick hits, we call them. And these are three things that you may be seeing in the news right now, things that are making the news. And I'm going to comment on just a few of the ones that I've noticed. CFIB urges government to scrap the capital gains tax. We know capital gains exemption tax has gone higher. Inclusion tax rate has gone higher. And a lot of small businesses, according to CFIB, Canadian Federation of Independent Business, the head, Dan Kelly, who's been on our show several times, is now saying that small businesses are really going to struggle under this higher inclusion rate. Keep in mind, just to refresh everyone's memory, right now, 50% of capital gains is taxable, 50% is non-taxable prior to this recent increase on the 25th. And after the 25th, rate goes to 67% is now taxable versus before we had only 50% of capital gains being taxable. So a big difference, especially for business owners. Calls for the US and EU tariffs on Chinese EVs. I know that the Premier, Doug Ford, he was a leader in calling for this, and so we'll touch on that. US and Canadian retail sales starting to show some wobbling. Yes, retail sales are coming down, consumer not buying as much and focusing more on cheaper goods. So let's delve into these very quickly. CFIB, we actually have a quote from Dan Kelly, which we can put up. And this is a quote regarding capital gains tax changes. Half of Canada's small business owners will be hit by the new 66.67% inclusion rate, hiking coming on June the 25th, which obviously just passed. And warns Canadian, and Dan Kelly is warning, warning the government that this is obviously not good for small businesses. With the details of the changes in the inclusion rate only coming out in the last few weeks, business owners were only given 2 weeks to make informed decisions, leaving virtually no time to change gears. And details of the proposed Canadian Entrepreneurs Incentive have yet to be published, leaving entrepreneurs largely in the dark on potential beneficial changes. So what Dan Kelly is saying, head of CFIB, these changes or this idea of raising rates, raising the inclusion rate on capital gains just came out. And unfortunately, a lot of small businesses will not be able to do much before obviously we're not able to do much before the deadline. And obviously not a good thing for small business. Second quick hit that I think many people are discussing and talking about is this idea of Canada matching the United States and putting tariffs on electric vehicles coming from China. And as I said, the Premier, Doug Ford, again, who was on our show not too long ago, he has been a big proponent of this, saying that the United States has put tariffs, we need to do the same in Canada. And that has been discussed at the federal level. And we'll see what transpires, how this will transpire with respect to the relationship between Canada and China. But an interesting chart I wanted to show about this, we have it here, total value of imports of electric vehicles. And it's interesting. This is where Canada imports its EVs from. And you can see here that China is the biggest, has the biggest growth. Percent change from EVs from China is almost 1,300%. Much larger than any other country. Mexico, 500%. Maybe we'll have to do something on Mexico as well. But overall, China, 1,300% growth in electric vehicle imports. So quite large. So something that we're hearing about, and as I said, something in the news recently. Last but not least, we wanted to touch on our third quick hit is this idea of retail sales slowing down, and we have a chart on this one as well. Canadian retail sales monthly change. You can see here in Canada that in May, it actually went downward. We actually had negative retail sales. We're expecting a positive number, the next retail sales reading, but overall, there is no doubt about it that we're seeing retail sales in Canada slow down. People tend to spend, but they're definitely spending less and on cheaper items. We have some retail sales numbers out of the US coming up here. There you have it. And you can see here that retail sales in the US also were slumping over the last couple of months. Again, expecting a better number in June. But overall, I think you can tell that the consumer is not spending as much. And we know that the consumer makes up at least 70% of the economy in the United States, and the consumer makes up a very large percentage of the economy in Canada as well. So another quick point that retail sales are coming down. I guess you just have to talk to anyone that you know that owns a business, a retail business. They'll probably be the first to tell you that, yeah, times are a little bit more tough today than they were maybe just a year ago.